as we come into this range within the gut, what begins to look like a hollowed out sunken chest, starvation. Starvation through congeniality. Starvation from congeniality. Where the system, for reference, is starving. And the apocalyptic images, sensations, the atmosphere that arises here as we come into this. The hallowedness of human suffering, the metabolic definition that has been applied to this hallowed suffering, this scarring, this scared definition, where the lining of the gut, the lining of the intestines actually starts to hurt, the sense of cramping, but it's more than cramping, almost as if it's collapsing in on itself, as if pieces of it have been cut out. There's a sense of shrinking, a sense of limits becoming smaller, and that this is beyond your control. This sense of scarcity and suffering, the sense of having to limit one's self and to be agreeable to what is presented to you or what you see presented in front of you. This very narrow bandwidth for perception, this limitation on perception. Using water and food as an example of how scarcity constructs can be related or derived to fit through the system. The sense of starvation and not being immune to the effects of starvation, the limitations that starvation imposes on the systemic constructs, the sense of shriveling and shrinking within oneself, needing to accept what is presented in order to survive, being unable to expand vision beyond or around what is psychologically presented to oneself. Coming in now, this hollow space just below the rib cage, reaching up into the rib cage, this sense of eternal starvation. And yet it is also as if there is nothing there. It is a hollowed out space. And it is almost as if we are afraid to go there. And yet this space is within our own energy, our own field, our own body. But it is as if we do not understand how to converse with it, to communicate with it, It feels as if it is something that was placed there by something else, beyond our understanding, and we also have a fear of it, a fear of whomever it was that placed this hollowness here, that they will come back to find we have occupied this space and we will be punished. As we come to bring light in here, the sense that we are applying first aid to ourselves, putting on the oxygen mask, that we must save ourselves before we can save others. And also feeling, as we come here, in some way we may be betraying those who cannot feel nor see this. The overwhelm that begins to flood the body as you approach this, through the jaw, through the heart, allowing the systems of the body to recalibrate in this nuanced way. Koro oyana ki, coming into this hollow void, these white tones, and through the neck, toro osha, below the jaw, into the larynx, the esophagus, the heart, allowing these structures, these systems, where the system has been metabolically challenged and refined, coming back in here to the heart. Regulation of dysfunction, and where the body can no longer tolerate this level of metabolic dysfunction, where the field has become immune to its effects, that the effects of this no longer serve wholly the purpose of existence. Coming into the heart space here, recalibrating all the way through the root passage, where you no longer allow pain to stop you in your process, no longer seeing or experiencing pain in the same way, broadening your perspectives, allowing curiosity to open. Anywhere you have been stamped or shut down, closed off, anywhere you have been stamped down, this forced closure, and especially through the base of the root here, where things appear to be almost melted or fused, closed, under the guise of safekeeping, and yet we come in here to clear through the effects of the burning, of the melting, of the fusion. That even where energies were allowed to move through this space, the sensation or the reaction or the experience really was that of this melted or fused state. These almost deadened nerve endings. This was the experience when energies exchanged through the root. This cauterization, which was meant to seal the wound and yet was really a branding of grief and ongoing torture. This crying and grief and pain, this inability to connect wholly or wholeheartedly to the self, and where this was funneled back into these alternate systems, feeling this on either side, inside of the rib cage, through the gut, these dark channels, through the root, and out through the backside of the field, affecting into the shoulders, the top of the shoulders, the neck, the head. This hunched posture of insolvency. Debts owed incomparable to solvency. Feeling the nauseousness that arises here. That allows for this limited state of being as being in some way fruitful. Yielding demise. And where this somehow serves a purpose to the systems, extracts morality from within humanity, allows therefore a substrate of systems to be revealed, the purpose of which engenders totalitarian adjuncts. Race wars. Feeling this through the left side of the field, where we deeply desire to limit our space of understanding so that we feel safer. When ideas become too large, and really when our seeing of destruction and distortion becomes too great, where we cannot handle the metabolic challenge of this, we cease to exist there, therefore limiting our dismay, yes, but limiting our ability to be beyond the system. It challenges our sovereignty. So coming into this space within the rib cage, below the rib cage, what is it that we need to bring here? It starts to arise as a sense of defiance, and yet the field does not want to exist in this manner any longer. The sense of rage and anger only lends to being wrapped back into that distorted system, and therefore warps the human perspective and the ability to clearly understand the construct itself. So embarking here through this visualization, holding this hallowed space within our hands, and noticing even the disgust that may arise with this, how we want to destroy this moment in time, the space where we are actually holding this. Yes, dismissing the pain, but also then, therefore, destroying our ability to come through this space, bringing this sense of emptiness, this scared, this scarred energy, feeling this through the lining of the gut and also where it is in contact with the diaphragm. This opening, this range, this connection that was lost through time. Finding this key here now. This central point of self-recognizance. As you are being called, as you are being asked to heal. This magistrate barrier, this master barrier through humanity, the membrane of self-invoking behavior. This barrier which disallowed self-invoking mastery through the left side of the temple, where this fear of destruction comes to mind. Through past history, there is a sense that if anyone had access through this membrane, they would self-destruct. That it would be used in selfish and unhealthy realms of identity. So coming back here to surround and to surrender this into the self, the knowledge, the understanding, the mechanics that whatever effect this has, it first has on one's self, as a way of keeping the greater systems immune from self-travesty. This is the effect, this is the aegis of the battle of wars. This is the armor or the shield that was put in place, that until one fully understands and recognizes their ability to affect the whole, that one shall not pass through this barrier unless and until the empathic understandings have registered and are in place. Again, through their feminine range here. And where this begins to clear through the nervous system, through the nerves themselves, what feels like syncopated transmissions of nerve signals. So almost as if there are gaps in the signals themselves, and where this then exudes a sense of pain within the body, this underlying heart condition where we want to continue to take on more and in many ways harm ourselves in order to overcome this sense of void within the self, that it is not something that needs to be repaired, it is something that needs to be revisited. Insolvency by way of attacks on the mental load, stress, disrepair of the nervous system through the ventral vagal tone, the sense of security, being myself, myself and I, coming home to land here within being, the nuanced history of self-aggrandizement, the power of this to connect through the base of the gut, through the solar plexus, through the sacral, into the root, through the sides of the neck. Taro ono koya decay. Cho ono ki chashai dahai dahai chosha ono koya. And it is so.